Centuries ago, European composers were wondering how to combine major and minor. Why choose? Maybe you can have the best of both worlds. And they figured out how to do it. So, whip up some tissues, because you're about to discover how incredibly sad and beautiful this combination sounds. And you don't need to be a rocket scientist to figure out which notes to play either. We're going to discuss an old bit of music theory and see how it applies to pop songs. And I'll have you practicing the application as well. Let's go. Why does nobody seem to even know this is a thing? Muldur is, I think, only used in European theory. Mainly Germany, I guess, but here in the Netherlands too. I've never read about it in any English theory books or heard about it in English. I think the term in English is modal interchange or something like that. Muldur apparently is not taught that much outside of Germany and the Netherlands, and I think the rest of the world should be let in on our little secret. So how do you combine major and minor? And what do we even mean by that question? We're already combining major and minor using modal mixture, aren't we? Well, sort of. You're playing in a major key and borrowing from the relative minor, but that's just quickly switching between major and minor. We're wondering how to actually combine them into one single entity, and the answer might surprise you. This is where the name Moll-Dur came from. Moll is German for minor, Dur is German for major, and it's basically saying minor major, or actually something like minory major or en minored major or something like that. So, how did they do it? How did they combine major and minor? They found an answer when they took the major scale and tried to inject it with a minor flavor. That gives us three options: the minor third, minor sixth, and minor seventh. If we were to take the major scale and lower the seventh, we just end up with Mixolydian, and Mixolydian fits with a dominant chord. Okay, so a dominant chord, that's not major seventh and it's not minor seventh, it's in between, so fair enough, that's some combination. However, a dominant chord doesn't really sound like the tonic, he said as he's completely ignoring the existence of all blues music ever made. And we still want to have our major tonic sound, so let's try something else. If we were to take the major scale and lower the third, we just end up with melodic minor. And melodic minor admittedly uses a major sound in the minor scale, but we already know this one, and we're trying to come up with something new. Besides, this is a minor scale with a major flavor, but we want it the other way around. We want a major scale with a minor flavor. The only option left is to lower the sixth. The major scale, except we lower the sixth to the minor sixth. What? Now we have this weird minor sixth, major seventh thing again, where there's an augmented second between those two notes. The same thing we saw when we were talking about harmonic minor. And this scale is called harmonic major. Yeah baby, that's the thing as well, and it gives us two very important options. What we basically ended up doing is lowering the third of the 4 chord. So now we have a minor 4 chord, which is actually not all that special. If we're borrowing from the relative minor, we also have a minor 4 chord, so what's so different here? Watch this. Check out the 7th on this chord. That's a major 7th. This is a minor major 7th chord, and putting that on the 4th of the key works magic. Although minor major 7th chords are kind of dissonant, and major 7ths themselves are pretty dissonant, and classical musicians opted not to stack a third on top of the 5th to reach the 7th, but go a third below the tonic to reach the 6th. Whether we're talking about major or minor chords, if we're adding a 6th, it's always a major 6th. The minor 4 chord would typically be played as a minor 6. However, in modern times, we would play Dorian over a chord like that. However, what happens when we're playing Dorian over this specific chord? Well, take C major, we're going to F, the 4 chord, we're turning it into F minor 6, and then we're going to play F Dorian over it, and the resulting notes are the same as C minor, C Aeolian, with the same 3 flats F Dorian has. We already had that sound, that's not new, we're looking for something new. In order to get that real Moll-Dur sound, you have to play that major 7th, but you don't have to play it in the chord, you can play it in the melody as well. And remember, when you're doing so, you're actually playing the major third of the key, and so this allows you to just play C major, C, D, E, F, G at least, and because of the A flat in the chord that's lying underneath it, the entire melody gets recontextualized. By the way, I said there are 2 chords we're taken from this, didn't I? Yeah baby, that's the thing as well, and it gives us 2 very important options. Well, let's take F minor 6, but take that note D and call that the root. Which chord do we end up with if we take the same notes but D is the root? Pause the video, calculate it for yourself, I'll be revealing the answer right now. If D is the root, F is the minor third, A flat is the diminished fifth, and C is the minor seventh, creating D half diminished. The minor 4 and the 2 half diminished chords both look alike. They're pretty similar and they both fit perfectly with the Muldur sound, and they're both used in Christmas songs, for example. However, I still haven't quite been thorough enough. See, composers ended up doing the same thing on one more chord, except one more note has to be changed. Let's think logically about this for a second. We've got the minor 6 and the major 7th creating harmonic major. Which sister scale would fit in with harmonic major? Answer in the comments below, I'm curious to see what you guys think before I even mention the answer, which is coming right now. It's melodic major. Now remember, melodic minor had a minor beginning and a major ending. Melodic major does it the other way around. It has a major beginning and a minor ending. In other words, we're keeping our minor 6th, but we're now also lowering the 7th to a minor 7th. This is melodic major, although it's also sometimes called Mixolydian flat 6, as scales can have multiple names. We're just gonna call it melodic major, and the reason we took this B flat note and added it to the scale is because the chord we're adding is B flat 7. Next time you're messing around in the key of C major, try playing a B flat 7 chord, but don't play an E flat over it, which is what you would get if you were borrowing this from the relative minor, but play an E over it to get this typical Muldur type sound. And you know what? I'm done talking about it. Let's take a listen. These are not just for show. We've discussed Stop This Train by John Mayer in a previous lesson. Click the pop-up to check that one out. But if you're still here, there's a minor major 7th 4 chord at the start of the chorus. That's where he starts this chorus. And it's very fitting for the emotion of the song, since it's about this feeling that he can't keep up with how fast time is going, this nostalgia, and this kind of sour and creepy minor major 7th chord to him seems to fit the emotion that he was going for. I mean, we're playing this happy, cheerful, jangly, pretty little riff, and at some point, when the chorus starts, we're suddenly surprised with the minor major 7th 4 chord. So yeah, there's one place where you can find this chord. Check out the song. All songs that I'm mentioning in this lesson will be linked in the description below. I actually don't need the guitar for the rest of this. We're going to do the rest with the piano, so I'm going to hopefully find some kind of camera angle that will work. Maybe this will work. Okay, one song I like for this is Just the Way You Are by Billy Joel, starting out with this magical romantic chord here. Ah man, this is basically D. I know it's adding the 5th to make it extra sturdy, but consider this to be just D. What we have over it is a G minor 6 chord, leading to G major. G major with the 9th in the melody.
Wait, but that's not quite convincing. And didn't use the F sharp, which would be the 3rd in this key, the key of D.
I've got a better one. Oh, you're gonna love this one. This is I Believe I Can Fly by R. Kelly, and the melody goes like this. Okay, here we got F minor 6 with the C. You might be missing the C here, but it's in the bass. So we're just moving from C to F minor 6 to C. Still, we're not playing that E over it, but we're getting there. Now check out how the lyrics and this Muldur sound work together. I used to think that I could not go on, that life was nothing but an awful song. The very first line of this song, I used to think that I could not go on. Oh, what a sad thing to think. I used to think that I could not go on. And when the sentence is finished and when he's laying down the point, so to speak, of this sentence, that's when we're adding this Mulder type sound to it. That life was nothing but an awful song, but now I found the meaning of true love. I'm leaning on the everlasting arms. Here we've got F minor sixth with a ninth, arms. Oh, oh, if I can. I'm not gonna explain this chord just yet. We're not quite there yet. It's a secondary dominant, but we'll get there. If I can see it, then I can do it. Oh, what was that? Look at this. F minor, major 7th over A flat. The second chord of the pre-chorus of a pop song uses F minor, major 7th over A flat. F minor, major 7th over A flat, the second chord of the pre-chorus. That's crazy to me, and it's a very typical Mulder sound, because how else are you gonna explain this? There is no other way. It is Mulder. Okay, maybe one last song to convince you even further. Do I need to say which song that is? It's All I Want for Christmas by Mariah Carey. I told you this was very Christmassy. These are Christmas type chords. They work for Christmas songs, and it's put in this song as well. Let's check it out. Christmas, there is just one thing I need. I don't care about the presents underneath the Christmas tree. What is this? Well, what kind of chord are we talking about here? Well, if we take this voicing, it's easier to see, isn't it? We were in the key of G, and we're on the 2 half diminished chord. Yeah, we had a weird bass note, but whatever, it's still this chord. It's still using one of the chord tones as its bass note. Later on in the song it uses this one, D, in the bass. So this is now a C minor 6th over D, which works as a weird and colorful D7, but also uses this Mulder type sound to return back home. You can use it as well, and it's time to put you to work. For the first assignment, I'm going to play a section of a song called One Day I'll Fly Away by Randy Crawford. Amazing music, you gotta check it out, link in the description below. However, I'll be playing a short bit of the harmony. I want you to figure out by ear what it is that I'm playing. Here we go. The chorus goes wild, and I hope you will check it out by yourself. You can find the chorus online. But for now, we're just going to move on to the next assignment. Compose. You cannot expect yourself to make this sort of theory your own without actually putting it to practice, put it to use. So improvise something with it until you play something you like, and then compose on it. You need to do this in order to become fluent at it. You can't expect yourself to just calculate it a couple times and then you know how it works and then you can just apply it and practice. Like, that's not how that works. You need to put it to use. You need to compose with it. So when you're composing, try and use relative minor and then try and use Mulder and compare those sounds with each other and decide for yourself which you like more in this specific little section of your composition. This is how you create something you enjoy. And it's better to make something you enjoy because that actually forces you to analyze the actual feeling this is producing, whether you like that or not. It's giving you a different relationship with the harmony and with the theory. And you need to do that in order to become fluent. So purposefully and consciously apply these concepts in your compositions and in your improvisations. That's the way. This is the assignment your focus needs to be on. I'm not giving you more stuff to do. If you're setting aside a fixed amount of time to use for whatever you're learning in these lessons and practicing that stuff, this time you're going to use that time just for composition. Compose, compose, compose. And since we're done with the assignments anyway, let's check out that little bit of e-training I gave you guys. Okay, One Day I'll Fly Away by Randy Crawford. Let's check out what happened and what I was playing. So, we started here and I was playing a D major chord with a D for a bass note, and every other chord I played had a D for a bass note, anchoring D as the tonic of this song. So we are in the key of D major. Moving to, oh dear, well, what are you going to do when the bass note doesn't change? Well, you're going to have to hear what the root is, right? Na, na, na. So the fifth is in the bass. That helps. Because now I know it's the 4 chord. And sounds like a minor chord to me. And I was singing a minor arpeggio as well. So this is the 4 minor. Next was different. Now you said at the top, which is the 6th of the minor 4 chord. It's a minor 6 now. It's a minor 6 4 chord. All these numbers is confusing. Anyway, it's a minor 6 chord, moving to either G6 or E minor 7th over D. Either of those chords over D will work because it's the same collection of notes. Either way, let's notate it real quick. This is what I was playing, and this is what I hoped you managed to figure out. If you didn't, that's fine as well. You're just correcting the mistakes your brain is making in order to get your brain to the point where it doesn't make those mistakes anymore. It has to be able to make mistakes, and they have to be corrected. So if you're making mistakes, that's fine. Just try again next time. And it's already time with the recap. You've been learning about Muldur, which basically means minor in major or minor re major and minor in major, something like that. In this bit of theory, we're using harmonic major and melodic major to make a few extra chords and make melodies over those chords. Remember the importance of the major third of the key that you're in. That's the note that's going to stay the same that wouldn't have stayed the same if you were borrowing stuff from the relative minor. And this is the note that unlocks this Muldur type sound to you. And we've discussed 6 chords. Now a major 6 chord just uses the major 6, but the minor 6 chord also uses the major 6th. You don't use the minor 6th in a 6 chord. That's not a thing. One reason for this is that the same collection of notes can also be called F major 7th over A. It's a simpler explanation, and generally our notes tend to assume that all chord tones are present and no added notes are present. So it's going to sound like a major 7th before it's going to sound like a triad with an added note. However, that explanation is missing the point as well. See, the point is, there was music first and music theory came after. First, people were making music and using minor chords and adding a major 6th to it. Even if they weren't thinking about it, that's what sounded right to them. And later on, we were looking at that music and we decided, or we didn't decide, we noticed that the major 6th was always used in minor chords. And that's actually the entire recap already. Okay, you might be a new viewer, but if you've been following this playlist, you know we've been diving deep lately. We're going deeper and deeper into the inner workings of music, and it's getting more and more exciting for me to talk about as well. And if you are a new viewer, you can check out the entire playlist clicking here or just go to the next video. And if you like this kind of content, maybe you want to subscribe and click the notification bell. Now go make some music.